In a world where humanity was on the brink of extinction and our protagonist found himself on the verge of death, he saw a gem. With a desperate hope, he harnessed its power to travel back in time, determined to rewrite history and rescue humanity from the face of extinction. As monsters began to pour out from a split in reality, a mysterious labyrinth emerged. Players were given 4 daunting choices. Easy mode, where anyone could survive with ease. Normal mode, where one had to put forth great effort to survive. Hard mode, a challenge only 1% of people could conquer. And finally, solo mode, the most unforgiving and hardest setting of them all. In his previous life, the man was known as the strongest easy mode player. The men cleared the labyrinth with a unique and novel strategy and obtained skills that others were unable to obtain, such as addition, multiplication, attack nullification, and ultimate judgment. And yet his strength was limited due to picking the easy mode. "I'll definitely get stronger this time around," says the protagonist, determined to rewrite the history and rescue humanity from the face of extinction.
The story begins in a city on the verge of crumbling into ruins. Our hero travels through its empty streets, with monsters surrounding them, but these creatures seem afraid to approach. Our main hero is found standing behind the monsters eating someone. The 3 monsters noticed our hero, their menacing gaze fixated upon him. The hero was annoyed by the mundane and uninspired names given to the monsters by the system. The monsters then started to charge directly at our hero. Status: you have activated addition, you have activated multiplication. With a single, mighty swing, the hero beheads the menacing monsters. In the next scene, our hero was seen knocking at the door and a man in armor opened it. He was a hard mode player named GM. Our main protagonist, Kong, was seemingly annoyed with hunting easy monsters. GM replies to our hero that only he could defeat the monsters so easily. But what happened to the guy who ran away? The hero Kong grimly replied, "He's dead, eaten by the monsters." GM was shocked as he realized that even a hard mode player had fallen victim to the monsters. To which our hero replies, "There were 3 A-rank monsters, you know?" GM exclaimed, A-rank monsters. Hard mode players are strong, but 1 A-rank monster can match their strength. GM, feeling scared upon hearing about 3 A-rank monsters, emphasized the danger they posed and urgently asked our hero Kong about their location. Kong casually replied, "I killed them all." His friend, with a sign of relief, responded, I see." Kong was on his way. GM then asked Kong to answer him honestly, and questioned whether Kong was not an easy mode player. In response, our hero Kong exclaimed, "What nonsense! There were other players who cleared the labyrinth with me. You can ask them." GM countered Kong, saying, "The easy mode players beside you are all dead, and the ones that spawned died in only 2 days. Honestly, how does an easy mode player survive here?" In the next scene at the cafeteria, Kong looked disgustedly at the potatoes. Kong says to GM, "In easy mode, we had a variety of foods." Right outside the cafeteria, a young guy was seen choking another person in a fit of anger. Kong observed, "It seems like another one who recently cleared the labyrinth is back." With a look of shock, GM told Kong, "That one looks like a hard mode player. You might have to step in." Someone yelling from outside. The angry guy shouted, "Don't mess with me. This cannot be Earth. Everything should have ended after the last return." An older person tried to calm the angry guy and said, "Calm down, this is indeed Earth. While you were back in the labyrinth, the Earth has changed massively." The angry guy yelled again, "Don't mess with me," and knocked out the poor old man with a powerful right hook punch. Kong exhales, "He's really acting up now." Kong sighed and said, "I guess I should teach this young guy a lesson." Kong then tried to explain him, "This is indeed Earth, and mankind is on the brink of extinction." But the angry guy shouted back at Kong, "Don't mess with me." This looks like a typical case where most players who return from the dungeon go crazy because they cannot accept the situation, and it happens quite often. The hero sighed, "There's only one method left. Then I will have to beat you up to make you accept the reality." Hero challenged the angry guy to a battle request. The angry guy, looking down on our hero, said, "How does a mere easy mode player dare to face a hard mode player? Don't you know the difference in skill is like heaven to hell?" The hero replied, "Shut up and fight. I will show you the world that you want to see so badly." The angry guy charged his sword with skills, warning, "Don't regret this. I don't care even if you die." Augmentation activated. Half of base attack is added to the current attack. The young guy jumps fiercely, launching his sword at Kang's neck. Kang Taeson's complete nullification of the first strike is activated swiftly. 0 damage to Kang Taeson. What? The young guy is perplexed. We see Kang grab the sword using only one hand and say, You done?" menacingly. The young man, unable to comprehend his current situation, stands bewildered. "It's my turn now," Kong says as he launches a left punch to counter his opponent. 49 damage to Li Changchun. A mere 49 damage, that's right, he cannot close the damage gap between hard mode and easy mode. In a serious demeanor, Kong says, "Your health is over 10,000, with his fist clenched. Addition activated, current attack is doubled, multiplication activated, current attack is squared, ultimate judgment activated, ignores opponent's defense skills and defense." With his fist charged, Kong raises his fist and taps his opponent on the head gently. His opponent gets smashed into the ground, sending shockwaves everywhere. 64 damage to Li Changchun. The young guy is brutally smashed into the ground. Kong says, "Do you finally understand now? This is Earth now." After losing to our hero, the young man starts crying heavily, saying, "Why is the world like this now? The world was once peaceful, but one day, suddenly, the sky split open and monsters started coming out. Humans were given a final choice: easy mode, normal mode, hard mode, and solo mode. Players who choose the level of difficulty can return to Earth only after clearing the dungeon. Back on Earth, it was on the brink of ruin, completely overwhelmed by relentless monsters. What else can we do? We have to try and save our world," says Kong. The defeated guy, in tears, is being gently helped by the old guy he punched before and other players. In the next scene we see Kong eating his potato. Gwem asks, "But really, how did you acquire that multiplication skill?" Gwem adds, "I can't believe you have so many overpowered skills, and there are skills that only you possess." Kong, with a mouthful of potato, replies, "Hard work." Then we see another player that arrives from the dungeon, and everyone is now cheerful, clapping to welcome her back. Her name is Li Tian, the strongest player in the world, with a pair of healthy melons and likely our hero's waifu. Our hero, Kong, is already called in by the woman to her chambers. He asks, "Why did you call me here?" She explains that she heard Kong taught a lesson to a hard mode player. She opens her system window and wonders how an easy mode player can school a hard mode player. It seems strange no matter how many times she hears it. Li Tian, level 245, HP 45,810, MP 7,020, currently scared. Our hero Kong says, "What?" then asks her why she's showing him her status window. To which she replies, "I am just checking my window. Now show me your ting. Show me your window too." Kong Tae-san, level 54, HP 1021, MP 820, strength 100, currently in peak condition. With an innocent face, she says, "Disgustingly weak, as expected." Our hero doesn't look pleased with that remark and watch closely where her hand is reaching. The labyrinth is divided into 4 categories. As soon as the player clears the labyrinth, all of the player's growth is halted, leading to a major gap in strength and difficulties. A hard mode player's stats is easily 10 times greater than our hero's, but none of them could even endure one blow from him. Reason begin the skills that our hero wields. The lady then grabs a pen and asks the hero to stay still for a moment. Li Tian activated augmentation, adding half of the base attack to the current attack. Then, Li Tian activated addition, doubling the current attack. Finally, Li Tian activated perfect aim, guaranteeing the next attack to hit. She then throws the pen towards hero Kong. Kong Tae-san takes 0 damage. "What did you do that for?" As an aftermath, there is a big hole in the wall behind him. To which the girl replies, "I just wanted to, never mind." Our Kong seems to have so many overpowered skills, so the girl asks, "You have 200 skills, right?" To which Kang says, "Around 230, yeah." The skills that our hero obtained was actually by strategically playing in the tower, and our girl regrets not doing it like Kong. She says it would have been better if they had focused on becoming strong like Kong instead of clearing the dungeon. To which Kong replies, "Who knows? All of that is in the past anyways." To that the girl says that is not necessarily the case. "Anyways, you are too strong." Taesan's skills are strong, but most of them use stats as their base. If only he was a hard mode player, no, even a normal player. In other words, the current Taesan could not use even half of his overpowered skills. In an unexpected twist, it was revealed that the next wave would begin sooner than anticipated. With each wave, hordes of monsters launched relentless attacks, overwhelming all defenses, leading to death of many people and their territory shrank. During the first wave, humanity suffered a devastating blow, losing soul to the onslaught of monstrous creatures. During the second wave, a chilling truth emerged as half of the hard mode players lost their lives in the unforgiving battle. In the face of the third wave's fury, our defenses crumbled, and we could only manage to protect a small city, and now the fourth wave was now about to begin. In the forthcoming wave, an ominous assembly of 2 S-rank monsters, several dozen A-rank creatures, hundreds of B-rank monstrosities, and the looming menace of an apostle possessing power surpassing even S-rank individuals is poised to make its dreaded appearance. Li Tian urged Hero Kong to take on the 2 S-rank monsters, while she bravely volunteered to confront the formidable apostle as they faced a shortage of fighters for the upcoming wave. Kong then went outside to deliver a grim warning to everyone, making it clear that the odds of survival in the upcoming wave were slim at best. As Kong quietly left the room, the girl whispered to herself, "You are strong, Kong. If it's you, then you could lead us to victory." Outside, tears flowed freely among the players, who had learned of the impending wave and the imminent threat to their lives. Sitting on the wall outside, Kong and Jim shared a moment. Jim admitted, "Surviving this long feels like a blessing, but in the next wave, we'll likely meet our end. If only we all played like you, Kong, maybe humanity would stand a chance." Kong retorted bluntly, "Blessing, my ass. We're all going to die." A crimson aura enveloped the city as the chilling truth was unveiled. The next wave had begun as hordes of monsters poured forth from the rift in massive numbers. Large Leap activated. With a powerful leap, our hero Kong launched into the sky, ready to confront the formidable challenge of facing 2 S-rank monsters. Complete surveillance activated. From the sky, Hero Kang's surveillance skill allowed him to pinpoint the precise location of the 2 menacing monsters. Kong descended from the sky with a spectacular superhero landing ready for battle. The system status displayed the ongoing execution of all these critical checks: mental instability check, confusion check, fear check, and the instant death check. Status: all checks cleared. With an iron will, your mental state remains unshaken and unbreakable. Your body has developed an unyielding physique.
Standing tall, Kong faces not 1, but 2 S-rank monsters, ready for an epic showdown. With his sword held high, Kong can't help but feel a sense of unease, as he hopes these creatures before him are not the formidable defense-type monsters. Suddenly, a system alerts, "You have activated complete surveillance." Facing Monster 7, a defensive behemoth, with a staggering 148,551,233 HP, Kong braces for a challenging battle. Monster 7 anchors itself into the ground with its tentacles extended outward. Sliding along the ground, Kong mutters, 148 million HP, what a joke. It'll take forever to take this thing down. Kang's gaze shifted to another menacing monster nearby. Facing Monster 5, which resembled an octopus and was a long-range attacker, with a substantial 1,255,212 HP, Kong couldn't underestimate the challenge ahead. Armed with his sword, Kong confronted the octopus-like monster, with unwavering resolve. With a swift and precise motion, Kong sliced and diced the octopus monster, cutting one of its tentacles in midair. A voice from the system alerted him, 42 and 35 damage to Monster 5. Kong quickly noticed that his attacks were less effective when targeting the tentacles of the octopus monster, so he then decided to target the octopus monster's head instead. The octopus monster retaliated by unleashing a powerful green laser-like energy beam toward Kong. Kong was struck by the attack, but a system alert followed. Complete nullification of the first attack activated. 0 damage to yourself. Sliding backward from the force of the last blow, Kong realized just how incredibly fast and potent the octopus monster's attack had been. Kong skillfully dodged multiple attacks by anticipating their trajectories and activated his acceleration ability, enhancing his agility and speed to gain the upper hand. With his newfound speed and agility, Kong delivered a powerful strike directly to the octopus monster's head, aiming to exploit its vulnerable point. Despite the accuracy of Kang's strike, he only managed to deal a modest 45 damage, as he was an easy mode player, making the battle all the more challenging for him. The octopus monster retaliated with another attack, but Kang's second skill activated, completely nullifying the assault. He emerged unscathed, ready to continue the fight. Kong leaped into the air, raising his sword high above, ready to strike the octopus monster with a decisive blow. Just as Kong was about to land his attack, a defense-type monster slid in, shielding the damage dealer octopus. Kong had anticipated this move. He saw the defense-type monster's intervention coming and had prepared a counter. System, you have forcibly initiated battle, isolating one of the monster in a yellow shield. For the next minute, only Monster 7 could damage him. System, you have activated addition. The current attack is doubled. You have activated multiplication. The current attack is squared. You have activated absolute judgment. Opponent's defensive skills are ignored. His total damage reached 9,604, which is not enough. Due to his status as an easy mode player, Kong had low base stats, leaving him dependent on his skills to overcome challenges. System, you have activated reset designated skill. The skill cannot be activated again for a month. You have reset multiplication. You have activated multiplication. The current attack is squared. But 9,604 squared is still not enough to reach 100 million, so he pushes himself to his limit. You have activated copy. The next attack will hit twice. He slices the monster in half. The monster 7 has fallen. Soon after, our hero was hit by the green laser, suffering 22,543 damage. Due to the overwhelming power of the attack from the other monster. You have activated endure. Fatal attack is nullified. All damage for 5 seconds is reduced to 0. With all his nullification skills exhausted, Kong faced a daunting task. He needed to strike the monster over 25,000 times to accumulate enough damage to reach 1 million, with high MP running out. 600,000, 500,000, 300,000, 100,000, pushing his body to its maximum limit. Kong reached a state of complete concentration. His body and soul were one. Through sheer will, a miraculous power was imprinted on his soul. As he obtained the soul skill, 48 damage to the monster. After battling the monster for over a month, Monster 5 has fallen. God of all dimensions cannot hold their astonishment. With visible injuries and blood staining his attire, Kong decided to head back, noticing a red dot, which is a threat bigger than those S-rank monster. As Kong made his way back, he was met with a grim sight. All of his comrades lay lifeless. He couldn't help but wonder why. As an easy mode player, why was he the only one left standing? Even Li Tion, the only clearer of the solo mode, and the strongest player amongst them, had fallen, with her back against the wall. And the one who killed her was an apostle. System, you will die soon. Successfully resisted. In a final desperate move, our hero lunged forward, stabbing the apostle with all the strength he could muster. But unfortunately, the apostle delivered the fatal blow, bringing an end to our hero's valiant struggle. As he fell to the ground, his HP has reached 0, fortitude is activated. He would be forcibly kept alive for 1 minute. In those fleeting moments, as the last human on the brink of death, he couldn't help but believe that this was the tragic end of humanity. In his fading consciousness, he noticed a glimmer of hope, a gem, the very thing she had fought to protect before her own demise. Summoning his final reserves of strength, the hero crawled toward the precious gem, humanity's last hope. System, you have activated last chance. One skill may be used, without restriction. He activated time stop. Time within 100-meter radius has been stopped for 2 minutes. The gem is called Ouroboros Bezoar, a bezoar of gods that controls the cycle of life, that can turn back the time. As Kong journeys back in time, he notices his former self, weakened and bullied by his parents. He was incredibly frail and haunted by trauma. However, that's no longer the case since he has now realized his true potential. The moment he regains consciousness, he reaches for his phone. He's arrived just in time. On January 1, 2020, the very day the dungeon is set to break. While Kong enjoys a long-awaited pizza, the moment arrives. We witness a rift in reality, from which a colossal monster emerges. A massive dragon wreaks havoc with its fiery breath. The system's voice echoes, "Your world is under siege by invaders, and your weapons are futile. A benevolent entity has taken pity on you." Each person is presented with a choice to pick a difficulty mode and enter the dungeon to gain power. There are different modes available. Easy mode, where you'll find plenty of food and resting places everywhere. It's so easy that even the ordinary and fragile can clear this mode sooner or later. Then there's normal mode, where food is scarce and resting spots are significantly fewer. Surviving here may be challenging, but with enough effort and resilience, it's manageable. Hard mode is the toughest, with extremely rare food and scant resting places. This mode will truly test your limits, and if you don't ensure maximum safety, you'll meet your demise. Solo mode, on the other hand, is a different beast. In this mode, you're on your own, encountering only monsters and NPCs. You won't see anyone from your world, and survival is nearly impossible. They say if you want to live, don't choose this level. Our hero boldly selects solo mode. After making his choice, he reminisces about the past when he was approached by the girl and had asked, "How was the easy mode?" She replies, "Just NPCs with repetitive behavior and predefined answers." Curious, he inquires about the differences in other modes. The girl explains, in solo mode, the NPCs are super intelligent and move freely, just like real people. Our hero proceeds towards the gate and meets the gatekeeper, who introduces himself as Baruchman and declares he will be his guide. Baruchman gives a disclaimer and begins explaining the maze. It has a total of 100 floors, with major changes every 10 floors. The deeper you go, the more difficult it becomes. On the first floor, there will be a man selling items, he says, and hands our hero a leather armor and a rusty sword. He also receives a wrist guard, which is new to him. Before entering, the guard reminds him to keep checking his skills, as they will be added gradually. As our hero enters the maze, the guard notices something peculiar about his personality. The maze was created long ago by a great wizard, and rumor has it that it grants the conqueror one wish. This maze is like a living hell, where horrific entities move without breath, and living things perish. He reaches the first floor, where eternal glory awaits him, breaking through the deep, dark abyss. This place is brimming with hidden locations and secrets, offering rewards upon clearing these areas or uncovering their mysteries. He embarks on his quest on the first floor, with the task of defeating the boss to proceed to the second floor. The reward for this task is a potion of random stat increase, with a secret reward shrouded in mystery. He recalls his last conversation where he was told he could find powerful items in the merchant shop. Back then, he didn't pay much attention, but circumstances have changed, so he decides to visit the merchant shop. The merchant inquires about his name, and he replies, Kong. After surveying the shop, he gives the merchant a piercing glare and remarks, "There's nothing in this room." The merchant retorts that it would take more space than this entire floor to display all the items, and he has no intention of showing his wares to him. He questions, "If you don't want to sell anything, why are you here?" The merchant, now clearly irritated, explains that he had no interest in this job, but due to the monsters, he had to leave his kingdom. He adds, "Even though I have no interest in selling items to you, if you come back alive, I may change my mind." He accepts the condition and asks if he needs to clear the maze to see the items, then promptly leaves. The merchant underestimates him, assuming he won't return, and relaxes. As he ventures further and explores, he hears a noise from behind, and suddenly a large rat appears. In this maze, a monster that was the fifth boss in easy mode is now just a regular monster, giving you an idea of the maze's difficulty. The rat attacks him, but he manages to dodge. He checks his stats and finds them lower than before, making it almost impossible for him to win. Now he understands why the merchant didn't show the items and insisted he must return alive to obtain them. The principle is simple: accomplish something that others can't, or achieve a feat that anyone will recognize, and he will be rewarded. He carefully analyzes the rat's movements and its surroundings. As the rat is about to attack again, he simply raises his hand, revealing a bracelet. The rat bites it, and the size of the rat diminishes. He swiftly eliminates the rat. Upon his return to the merchant is shocked, as he didn't expect him to return alive. The merchant is shocked, seeing Kong alive. "This guy is still alive," says the merchant subconsciously. Kong replies calmly, "So you were wishing I was dead?" The merchant replies, No, I don't mean that." Kong presents the leather and meat of big rat that he killed earlier. He offers merchant where he buys these things and asks how much they're worth. The merchant is still shocked to the core. He asks did he caught it, and not tried to run away. With eyes open, Kong replies the point is he caught it, stop acting so surprised. The merchant analyzes the meat and finds that it's real and of best quality and perfectly caught. Since Kong has fulfilled merchant condition, as promised before, he agrees to open his store for Kong. Kong asks what are the items that he sells, to which merchant replies he sells almost everything. Kong asks for a tower shield. Merchant asks which one he needs. Kong answers, the big one so that he can carry it with both hands. Merchant adds, why would you need shield out of all other things I sell? Kong replies, to attack all at once. Merchant accepts the answer and decide to open the golden door. He pulls a big shield from door and asks if that was okay. Kong replies, it was more than I thought, as it could be only acquired from 7th level. The price of shield is 500 gold, but Kong had only 243 gold. Since it was not enough, he need to catch 7 more to but that. He simply turns around and start to walk. Merchant asks, where are you going? He replies, I need more gold to buy that. Merchant says, don't worry about it, and gives him for free. Merchant says you can buy some other stuff with your gold, wait a bit. Kong is surprised, as it was unexpected scenario and unusual gesture from Merchant. Ken asks Merchant, why is he giving all these things? Merchant replies, it's an investment, and tells him to make a choice. Most of item were liquid portion, which increases offensive power, like increasing speed and so on. It's hard to get liquid portion on solo mode and utilization is very high, as liquid potions can pose a trap, and he changes his mind to buy a bow. He sells his leather and buys bow and arrow. The merchant blushes and smiles and give it within a second. Merchant says, it is impossible to recover stamina in Labyrinth, but there is a fountain, where you can recover stamina, as much you want as long as you are at first level. He gives Ken location and adds, there is crazy oldie there, but I am sure you will be fine. Lee Tae-yun also got the information regarding the Fountain of Life, but he showed an attitude of contempt and reluctant, as if she is going to starve if she goes there. He thought why the attitude has changed. He assumes killing Big Rat might be the reason for it. Spirituality raising skill gets activated and agility is increased permanently by 1. He also gets other skills that one can only get at 20th or 30th level at easy mode. A miracle-like power is added as he got spiritual increase skill. Whenever Ken find himself in problem, he keeps moving forward. So this time he does the same. There should be the fountain after walking through the passage. But suddenly a big rat appears. He gets surrounded by them. It was an ambush. The big rats have surrounded him. Even the brains of those rats know that they have an advantage. However, the rat leaps towards Kong. He raises his shield and blocks it. He cannot be shaken, since he has witnessed countless players who met their demise due to variables. He unlocks the Unshakable Mind ability. All stats increase. He is able to catch up with the rat's reaction, as he has acquired tough leveling up and successful judgment. So then, he eliminates the rat easily. He moves forward and reaches the sanctuary. Enemies such as wild monsters cannot enter this place. He is the first player to discover the fountain. First discovery bonus, intelligence increased by 1 permanently, and mana by 2 as well. This is the safe zone, aside from the shop, because no monsters can enter these places. He moves toward the fountain and drinks. All the wounds are healed, and stamina is also restored. The fountain water has put him in the best condition. It can heal the physical state but not the mental state. Yet, Kong needs to rest for a while. Next day, he checks the community post for new updates. All the articles were written by solo players, and all are about entering it and asking what types of monsters there are. It's been a day since the labyrinth opened. Full-scaled solo player entry will be in 1 month from now, so there should be many people alive right now. Solo mode has a reward system that is proportional to difficulty. Despite missing out on many rewards by defeating the boss through unfair methods, Lee Tae-yun is still the strongest player. Kong wonders how it will turn out. It's indeed tough here without enough information. He pulls out the rat's meat and eats it. However, it was raw, and his judgment failed, resulting in food poisoning. Due to it, Ken has been losing strength for 2 days. It's only with the help of a healing potion that he has managed to stand up, or else he could die. Food poisoning is a beginner's nightmare, so cooking skills are essential. It's too difficult to get food in the labyrinth. There is emergency food in the store, but it's very expensive. Eventually, there will be no option aside from eating creatures within this place. He gets food poisoning again. He gains strength again thanks to the fountain. Resistance against countless diseases has been obtained. Special passive skill, disease resistance. He goes into the water to increase his other skills. He dives into deep water, keeping moving forward despite the pain. Unlocks new skill, apnea. New special passive skill activated, line of death. An active skill to increase respiration and provide a significant amount of air when needed in emergencies. It's extremely rare to get those skills at once, so it's not a bad result. The proficiency is already at 54%. He wonders if those skills can be inherited. Is power imprinted on the mind rather than the body? However, other skills like cold-blooded or insight have only 1% proficiency. Incomprehensible things happen here. One cannot stand if he keeps thinking about death. He keeps working to acquire more skills. Kong Jun asks, is this the right way? Kong Taesin replies, high risk, high return. Now is the time to do it. Since Kong Jun is not sure what to do, Kong adds, follow whatever your mind tells you, but you're going to regret it. Ken unlocks non-breathing and activates it. There exist different types of skills, some are single individual skills, and some are combination skills. It means that when a certain skill meets a certain condition, it motivates the evolution of a few skills. In the non-breathing condition, it's only to a certain extent, like holding your breath while doing things. Special activation skill, 1 breath attack. Ken has acquired more than 10 skills. He acquires the skill player. Kong realizes that humans also have their own tempo that they follow before acting, similar to the rats he encountered earlier. Non-breathing attacks help that tempo to be more swift and easy to change. It was the skill that Ken often used before going out of the labyrinth. He checks his level and gets shocked. Li-Tei's agility was 13 when she passed the first level, and currently, Ken's agility level is 21. He is far more agile. Tries to create a main skill. A main skill is usually a skill with higher values than 10 skills combined together. Plus, it also gives him the capability to improve the lacking parts in the stats. For example, it can multiply or add offensive power, help identify hidden elements, prevent attacks, or stop time, etc. Due to its powerful capability, there are some conditions and requirements that are picky. For example, the skill Full Recon needs 2 or 3 evolutions of the Spy skill, but it's possible to create a main skill on the first level. A big rat appears and starts attacking Ken, dealing some damages. He lets it attack him and says, "Let it have some fun." The rat keeps dealing damage until it reaches the empty phase and is in danger of dying. He kills it. Mastery of Death increased by 3 and Calmness by 2. A few more rats attack him but meet the same fate. Skill Holding On. With this skill, one can negate lethal damage once and remove all damage for a period of time. The only person who can get benefit from this is Ken. There are specific ways to acquire any skill. Either you earn it from someone, complete the task that others failed to acquire, or by doing an action that mimics the effects. He got the non-breathing skill by holding his breath and using his sword in that situation, resulting in the acquisition of the non-breathing attack skill. He wants to obtain a skill that eliminates deathly attacks. It's simple, you just need to block deathly attacks continuously. Since you know you've got a skill that saves your life, fear should not be an excuse. If we don't take risks, we won't gain anything. He checks whether he could further keep acquiring skills or not. There were 200 in total. Suddenly, a man appeared, the same individual who had been searching for God. Since no monsters can enter the fountain, he must be an NPC, Ken assumes. The man asks if he is an adventurer by any chance, one of the people who venture into the labyrinth for the sole purpose of conquest. Ken remembers Lee referring to an old man she encountered at the fountain. She also adds that he was some kind of knight who served God. The man rushes and attacks Ken, yelling, "Now block this," and attacks with his fist. The line of death has been triggered. Consequently, Kong blocks the punch with his shield. The impact he feels is tremendous. Following this, a new skill is unlocked, and his power increases by 1. In a fraction of a second, Kong spots another punch approaching him. Realizing the power and skill difference between him and the men, he knows he can't avoid the punch. The punch is so strong that Kong ends up flying and crashing into a wall. While it would have caused 100,000 damage, his defense reduces it to 30,000. Kong is shocked by the old man's power. Furthermore, he realizes that not only monsters, gatekeepers, and other solo players are absolute monsters in terms of power. Impressed by Kang's skill, the old man praises him, mentioning that he was worried about Kang's abilities. Kong, determined, replies, "I can't just get beaten up by you." The old man adds, "I didn't want to kill you, so it was not a lethal attack." He continues by saying, "You have the ability to endure the attack even if I attacked you seriously, so there should be no problem." He commends Kang's skill when stepping into the line of death, calling it incredible. "That was actually a good skill. To be honest, I was worried you were weak, but you are actually good. You have overflowing passing skill." The old man asks, "What's your name?" Kong replies, "Kong Tae-san." The old man says, "It's an honor to meet you. I am the one who seeks God, they call me Ainsar." Li-Tei was looked down upon by this man. Puzzled, Kong asks, "Why are you attacking me suddenly? Are you a bully?" The old man replies, "I may be a holy knight, but I don't bully anyone." He adds, "I attack people to evaluate them, to see if they can survive and if I should acknowledge them." He continues, "Kong, you have passed the evaluation." Curious, Kong asks, "What kind of god are you looking for?" Intriguingly, there are many gods in the labyrinth. Various gods test the players and grant them wishes. However, since gods only exist in solo mode, most were not interested. But soon, Lee discovered how terrible gods were. The old man replies, "The more people know about our gods, the better." He explains, "The god I serve is the god of love, called Lebeninov. She is very kind and used to bond with those in love. Sadly, there was no goddess loved more than her, but that world was destroyed, and I am the only one who still remembers her." Kong asks, "Did you come here to find her?" The old man replies, yes. Lee has mentioned her to Kong. Furthermore, she was badly injured and devastated when Lee found her. Kong ponders, should I tell the truth or let it be for now? The old man inquires, do you have to hurry down this place? Kong responds, no, not really. My purpose is not to clear it but to become the strongest. Seizing the opportunity, the old man offers to teach him Lebaninov's skill. Kong accepts it and asks, what's the price? Curious, Kong asks, is this an apology? The old man replies, not exactly, but I offer it because you deserve it and thought you would need it in the future. Realizing that obtaining a new skill with one attack is much easier than risking his life for a single skill, the old man says, that's a relief, I almost made myself an enemy of God. Let's get started, the old man says, hit me with your shield now. In the labyrinth, there are numerous skills, but the basic ones can be acquired effortlessly with a single motion. For example, if you wield a sword, you gain swordsmanship, if you use a shield, you acquire shield proficiency, and if you opt for a spear, you obtain spear mastery. The moment you wield these weapons, you gain the respective basic skill. The higher your proficiency, the greater your knowledge and utilization of the weapon. Virtually all players possess these basic skills. Then, there's a skill that amalgamates all these basic skills. While it may not sound flashy, it's arguably the best. An old man referred to it as the Iraq weapon art, and even the goddess personally praised me for it. This is the skill I'm going to teach you. Kong took a deep breath but underestimated its value. The old man asked, do you think it's useless? Kong replied, yes, because nothing changes when skills are combined. It might be different if it were a primary skill, but due to a system error, combining weapon-based skills seems meaningless. The old man then asked, how much bonus attack power do you have? Kong replied, just one. The old man smiled and said, how cute. You should have 4 in total. Kong added, I have my basic attack power, so that should be right. The old man underestimated and said, attack me with all your might. The old man, with his hand on his head, complained, did you really have to hit me in the head? Kong replied, my bad, LOL. He then instructed Kong to hit with his fist, resulting in 2 damage. The old man asked, do you get my point? Kong inquired, so, what you're saying is that damage dealt varies according to the weapon? The old man replied, yes, that's why adventurers use weapons. If you wear a gallant with 50 attack power and a sword with 20 at the same time. If you attack with a sword, you'll deal 20 damage, whereas with gallant, you can deal 50. There's no way you can deal the combined damage of 70. Kong remarked, isn't it obvious? If it's like that, why wouldn't everyone carry multiple weapons? The old man explained, that's why we only focus on one primary weapon to improve its proficiency. Isn't it inconvenient to use only one weapon in battle? That's just absurd. In a battle, your life is on the line, and you should use every part of your body. Kong asked, but when that happens, due to the system error, you end up dealing low damage, right? The old man confirmed, yes, but our church, which serves the goddess Lebenovov, doesn't like that. My body is my weapon, and my weapon is my body. After years of research, I finally developed the Iraq weapon art. Not only does it allow you to combine basic skills, but it also combines the total attack power of your equipment. Kong was shocked. The old man continued, in other words, if you have a sword with 20 attack and gallant with 50 attack power, you'll deal 70 damage no matter where or what you hit. Kong asked, what about the range of application? The old man explained, it doesn't just apply to weapons but to all parts of your body, whether you hit with your hand, bump with your shoulder, or kick. Doesn't this mean that your whole body becomes your weapon? With this art, you can use all the equipment that was previously considered useless. It might not seem like much, but as you progress through the labyrinth and obtain higher grade equipment, Kong realized the tremendous potential of this skill. It can even be considered a primary skill, the old man stated. I understand how patient you are, but this is something an ordinary adventurer can't acquire even if they work their whole life. Are you interested? The old man asked. Kong replied, yes, of course. The old man instructed Kong to relax his body. Like other skills, this one was created by himself, making it easy to pass down. With his proficiency at 100%, Kong could receive it without any issues. The basic skill was now combined with the Iraq weapon art. Basic skill, swordsmanship combined with Iraq weapon art. Kong felt various techniques and information rushing into his brain. He had never thought he could acquire a skill this easily. You received the skill from the creator of the Iraq weapon art. You have acquired the highest level skill, Iraq weapon art. Highest level skill, Iraq weapon art. Proficiency, 1%. It was a skill that dealt with both weapons and the body. It can even be considered a main skill. It deals with both weapons and the body. It is still in an immature state, and there's likely to be a loss in the transmission of power. The old man gives Kong a ring and tells him to train every day for better results. Faded ring. Attack power +1. It looks like it's worth a lot and has been worn for a long time. Kong says with gratitude, it's more than enough. In the past, I would have discarded it, but it's worth much more now. The old man says, I have given you everything I could. But since you can't go to the 3rd floor right now, it's much of the same path. Wanna try sparring with me and test your skills? Kong accepts. They start sparring. In the labyrinth, all actions are evaluated. If you look carefully at any seemingly useless room and find something, your direction proficiency increases. If you constantly block attacks, your shield proficiency increases. That's why fighting against the strong is meaningful in itself. Kong, did we fight for 2 whole days? Passive skill, continuous battle. Proficiency, 3%. A battle can last a long time, and you won't get tired easily. Thanks to this skill, Kong could fight an S-class monster for 2 days. He had given up on solo mode because he could only acquire this skill by fighting other players. The old man commends Kong, for a 1st floor player, you possess unbelievable skill and sense. As I expected, my eyes don't deceive me. The old man continues, then promise me 2 things. Since you have learned Iraq weapon art, you can teach it to anyone, but if they are worthless, then never teach them. If you violate this, then I'll find and deal with you myself. The second one is, if you discover anything about Goddess Lebenovov, let me know. But I doubt we can meet each other again. The old man says, I'm not expecting it either, but let's hope for a miracle. For Einzar to succeed in finding the goddess, either she would not have died, or she would have died with Einzar. In other words, unless a big variable occurs, Lebenovov must be killed by someone before he finds her. Kong can't decide whether to tell him about the goddess or not, yet he asks, do you want to know the location of the goddess? The old man replies, yes. Kong says, I know where she is. The old man is baffled. Meanwhile, Kong reveals he knows where Goddess Lebeninov is. The old man warns him to stop joking with him. Even after wandering around for eons, the old man could not find a trace of the goddess. Nevertheless, the old man could not believe that a mere 1st floor player could know the whereabouts of the goddess. Kong had already anticipated this kind of response from the old man, so he said, Old man, you can trust me. There's an item related to the labyrinth in my world. With powerful hand gestures, the old man shouts, nonsense. There's no such thing as a map for the labyrinth. However, Kong calmly replies, a map for the entire labyrinth does not exist, but a map to a specific entity does exist. The old man could not hold back his tears anymore. There was hope that he could finally meet his beloved goddess once again. With a sincere look on his face, Kong reveals, my lineage has the information about it, and we had already deciphered the location of the gods. Kong managed to hide his secret from the old man and told him the location of the goddess, the 78th floor in the Omniversal Library, the 24th secret room. The old man is stunned, his eyes filled with tears of hope as he realizes the Omniversal Library is the place he has not thoroughly explored. Excited, the old man grabs our boy Kong, saying that he was truly grateful and had never felt this indebted to someone before. Kong notices the old man is squeezing a little too hard, and his shoulders start to hurt. The old man apologizes. It seems he lost control over his emotions for a moment. Kong asks the old man if he was going to leave right away. But the old man says first he needs to prepare as the 78th floor is a dangerous place. The old man thanks our boy Kong from the bottom of his heart and offers him his dusky ring, which increases health by +20. The ring is given to priests in certain sects, and there's only one left in existence. Kong realizes that to get an item of this quality, you would need to be on at least the 30th floor on easy mode. Yet, he is getting it on the 1st floor in solo mode. The old man adds, normally, I would not have considered giving it to a 1st floor adventurer. However, I see you as an exceptional one. The old man bids farewell and heads towards the divine being with a kind of a scary look on his face. Can he find the goddess? If he does find her, would she be alive, or is the goddess already dead? Regardless, it will be a long time before I meet the old man again. Kong is killing monsters on the East floor. His agility has now reached 25, and even the big rat is easy to deal with. System notification, you have triggered soul boost. The gap between your soul and your opponent is too large. You have gained nothing from the opponent. As Kong takes his foot off the rat, he realizes that he cannot gain more stats from the 1st floor. He would now move to the 2nd floor. But before Kong moves to the next floor, he has a place to visit. There's a place in the labyrinth called the Secret Room. There is at least one hidden in each floor, and a large reward awaits those who discover it: magic staff, ring of levitation, permanent stat-boosting potions. Only one person can enter the secret room, and the competition was fierce when it was in easy mode. As Kong is poking his fingers through the labyrinth walls, he realizes it all depends on luck and experience more than skill. But this is solo mode. Here, Kong can get all the secret rooms. Monopoly it is then. As Kong wonders if the location of secret rooms is the same as before, he opens a door. While the labyrinth's difficulty map is different by difficulty, it had the same basic structure, so there was the same feature in the secret room. Kong has finally found it, the one piece of this world, the secret room. Only one entrance exists, and inside is an entirely empty room. A room most players ignore and pass by because it seems pointless. The secret room was in such a place. Kong then starts pushing the bricks in order to activate the secret room. Kong presses, rotates, and extracts, doing all kinds of things to the poor bricks. If there is no change, he moves on to the next brick. Kong thinks to himself it is better than the room where he had to endure for a week with nothing in return. Proficiency in detection has increased by 5%. As Kong rotates a brick, the walls break down. He is the first to discover the secret room and has received the title Adventurer. Intelligence has been permanently increased by 3. Kong notices the secret reward for the secret room. He then looks around, goes back to the labyrinth, where he notices a rat sleeping peacefully, minding his own business. The poor rat squeaks as Kong steps on him. Kong grabs the squeaking rat by the tail, and as the rat squeaks his final squeak, it gets thrown into the secret room by ruthless Kong. The poor rat triggers a weight trap and gets hit with a fireball and arrow. Kong notices the trap is not that difficult and passes by the poor rat's body. He then grabs the incoming arrow by his hand. Since Kong only had like 7 arrows, he decides to steal the arrow from the traps. Kong is catching the arrows left and right. He notices that it is getting tougher by the minute. Buying all the arrows from the store would have been a waste of money. Free stuff is never easy to come by, huh? Says Kong, grabbing poison arrows by his hand, paralysis arrows, and all sorts of arrows flying towards him. He was delighted with all the free arrows and then went back to the first trap once again. The arrows come flying in once again, and we see a satisfied Kong storing about 100 arrows in the inventory. No one cheats the system like our Kong. Kong now finally decides to head towards the treasure chest. Kong could easily block the arrows with his tower shield and run, but this place is a maze, so Kong decides to show a near-perfect execution. Kong perfectly dodges all the arrows, and as he reaches the 9th brick, 9 arrows are shot towards him from the back. Kong activates Breathless Attack. He has freedom of breath for the next 10 seconds. Kang's proficiency of vision has increased by 2%. As Kong is moving forward, more arrows are flying towards him from all directions. System alert, you heightened your senses in a crisis. You have obtained a special active skill, Sensory Enhancement. Kong blocks the arrows with both of his hands moving forward. The arrow arrives at point-blank range, which is impossible to dodge. You have activated Deflection, the next attack will be deflected. Finally, Kong takes 8 damage from the arrow. He ignores the damage and keeps on moving forward, grabbing and dodging arrows, and finally triggers the final trap with his feet. Kong is shocked as hundreds of arrows come flying towards him. Even the ruthless Kong is rattled at this point. As he realizes that he would not be able to dodge all the arrows, he then uses his hand as a shield and takes a lot of damage. His blood is dripping down the floor, and Kong is bleeding. Your health is continuously decreasing. System alert, you have experienced terrible pain. You have gained a special active skill, Pain Reduction. As Kong stops the bleeding with some bandages, he has only 54 horsepower left. Kong notices a lever and pulls it down, which disarms all the traps from now and for the reward. It looked like a magic item. He takes the staff out of the chest, realizing that it is an item available on the 10th floor even in hard mode. It's the Staff of Flames, a staff used by novice wizards that can cast a basic magic fireball. Even at the start, the Staff of Fire is of much higher value compared to other items. Kong wonders if it is an average reward for solo mode. As Kong makes his way outside the secret room, the angry wife of that sleeping rat appears for revenge. Kong deals with the angry rat with a swift kick. The rat wants to have another go at our boy Kong. System alert, despite being incapacitated for a long time, you had no issues in your actions. You have obtained a special active skill, Unyielding Will. Kong stomps the rat with his feet, makes his way towards the sanctuary, and sips the healing water, returning to perfect condition. Kong sits down and looks at his new skills: special constant activation skill, pain reduction, and sensory enhancement. These skills might not be useful now, but as their proficiency increases, they would exponentially improve. Special activation skill, unyielding will. No amount of wounds or injuries can break your fighting spirit. You can ignore injuries and fight for 10 seconds in combat. Finally, the staff, the biggest gain from the first floor, the fire magic staff. Basic magic fireball, mana consumption 3, and proficiency 1%. Kong realizes that he has gotten everything that he can from the first floor and decides to descend to the second floor. The structure of the labyrinth is simple. Each floor has a staircase leading to the next floor, guarded by a boss. The player needs to defeat the boss and keep moving forward. In the next scene, we see Kong standing in front of the big red door, ready to face the boss of the first floor in solo mode. As Kong makes his way inside, we see the mother of all rats. Kong moves towards the floor boss with no hesitation at all. A giant rat has appeared as it lets out a big squeak. The giant rat used to be the floor boss of the 10th floor in the easy mode, and it had taken out lots of players in the past. But considering everything Kong has experienced in the first floor until now, he was not surprised. Kong brought his tower shield out, ready for the boss battle. The giant rat was not something a first floor player could defeat. That is why Lee Taeyun had to resort to trickery. The method she used was simple, knowing that the labyrinth boss could not leave its chamber. Filling the rat room with oil and setting it on fire was all it took. A pretty logical approach, given enough time. Considering she was the only player surviving the solo mode from Earth, Kong thought her strategy was near perfect. But from his previous experience, Kong knew it was not the fight the labyrinth wanted. Kong was ready to face the giant rat with his staff and shield. The giant rat charged at our boy Kong, and he activated a fireball, dealing 14 damage to the giant rat. To become stronger, he knew he had to show a flawless fight. As the rat was engulfed in flames, Kong checked for the burn status. Assessment successful. The giant rat is burning. Kong then took out his bow, and fired a poison arrow at the rat, but assessment failed. The giant rat seemed unaffected. Kong had shot yet another arrow in succession, which left the rat squeaking in agony. The target had become paralyzed, immobilized until the next attack for 10 seconds. Kong then took out a bunch of arrows from his inventory, with a smug look on his face. By paralyzing the rat with an arrow and firing the poison arrow, assessment was successful. The giant rat is poisoned. Kong kept on continuously striking the rat with arrows, and their status effects added to the continuous damage. The ferocious giant rat lay down, covered with arrows, as its gaze fixated on Kong. Kong grabbed his shield, ready to hit the giant rat. He thought of this battle as child's play. System alert, the giant rat has been weakened. Damage will be more effective. But now things had just got real. Kong focused on what was about to come next. The rat's health had reached a certain level. It was about time. Berserker mode is activated when health drops below 20%. Kong was reminded of the horrors and casualties when the giant rat entered Berserker mode. Coming back to the present, the giant rat was enraged. It had entered Berserker mode. Kong readied himself as the second phase began. It was a head-on battle now. The rat threw a huge claw, which was blocked by Kong using his entire body. Blood came out from his mouth. Kong took 8 damage. With his current strength, Kong could not handle the rat. To defeat this towering rat, he decided to base his strategy on his best stat, agility. Kong attacked the rat with speed, using his shield, leaving the rat shocked, mouth wide open. The rat looked at Kong and noticed that he was not there. Kong charged at the giant rat from the back, using his shield. System alert, you have dealt 7 damage to the giant rat. The rat screamed in pain and managed to throw a huge uppercut, but Kong blocked it by putting his body weight and leaning on the shield. Kong took 7 damage. Finally, he dealt 7 damage to the rat, and the giant rat fell down. The rat was now desperate, trying to bite our hero Kong, to which he was barely holding on to life by blocking with his shield. Kong took his sword out from the inventory. System alert, you have activated apnea. You gain the freedom of breath for the next 10 seconds. Kong sliced and diced the giant rat, dealing continuous damage to it. But the rat managed to land a claw strike on Kong with a big squeal. Kong took 24 damage. He realized that at this rate, he could only take a few more hits. Therefore, he tried to finish it off as fast as possible. Kong rushed in with his sword and took 25 damage. He activated the dodge, so the next attack was dodged, and he struck the rat once again in the process. As claws came flying in, Kong performed a counter. The enemy took significant damage. Kong pointed the sword and stabbed the rat directly in the chest. System alert, you have dealt 20 damage to the giant rat. With the last hit, the giant rat was defeated. As the battle ended, Kong was bombarded with system notifications. You have defeated a challenging enemy alone. Agility permanently increased by 2, mana permanently increased by 3, your strong strike has been activated, strength permanently increased by 2, agility permanently increased by 3. Your level has increased, you have achieved the best condition. You have defeated the first floor boss and obtained 1 random stat increase potion. You have understood the hidden elements of the first floor, secret reward, designated stat increase times 2. Kong drank these potions while he sat over the defeated giant rat. With the designated stat potion, Kong had increased his strength stat by 2. Kong then looked at his current stats, level 4, health 155, mana 15, strength 17, agility being the highest at 30. Kong wondered if having these stats on the first floor was ridiculous. He then remembered that he had also unlocked a skill, counter, mana cost 5, proficiency 1%, counterattack an enemy's attack, dealing significant damage to the enemy. After checking everything, Kong lay down and suddenly remembered what happened to the solo mode first floor basic strategy he posted on the community. He opened the system window and had a look at the community post with a grinning face. As Kong opens the community tab in the system window, he notices something strange in the comments about the solo mode basic strategy. Players were arguing in the comments about Kang's methods. Lee Sang, with her healthy pair of melons, looked shocked as she was reading through the strategy. However, what surprised our boy Kong was the state of the community. In his previous life, everyone was devastated in the labyrinth. No one was talking about his strategy back then, there were just desperate posts. But in this life, people were posting positive results. Lee Sang even managed to reach the fountain of life and thanked our boy Kong in the comments. Everybody in the community was wondering, where did our boy Kong go, and when would he post once again? Kong noticed that the flow was changing little by little. In the next scene, Kong stared at the entrance of the second floor and wore his martial artist's glove, ready to enter the second floor. Kong made his way through the labyrinth's floor stairs and noticed that the power here was not very strong. Finally, the second floor quest began with the system alert, defeat the boss on the second floor and proceed through. The rewards for the second floor were a mana enhancement potion for beginners and a secret hidden reward. As Kong opened the system window once again, he was bombarded with notifications. The notifications were filled with gratitude from the players, thanking our boy Kong and asking for more help. Kong was perplexed by the sheer amount of messages that he had to respond to. Kong Junhyuk requested to speak with our boy Kong Taeson. As he accepted the request, they were transferred into another dimension where they could speak. Kong Junhyuk expressed his gratitude towards Kong and thanked him for his guide for the first floor. Kong did not expect that people trapped in the labyrinth would undertake extreme challenges just by reading the posts in the community. I had no choice, Kong Junhyuk replied nervously. It was either to follow your advice or die of starvation. He replied, you know it too, if you don't go into the labyrinth, you can't get food at all. There was no answer from people who entered the labyrinth. Then he asked our boy Kong to give him some food, but Kong did not respond, and our boy asking for help seemed kind of desperate. At first, our boy Kong was thinking about running through the labyrinth and devouring everything that he comes across, but in that critical time, he noticed that even if everyone was frustrated at first, as Lee Sang reached the fountain of life, others believed they could do it as well. He asked how many people succeeded in the big rat hunt, to which the boy in the red vest replied, it's just me and Lee. Kong was surprised, as Lee Sang was the first person to clear her solo mode, but he was seeing this guy for the first time. Maybe in the previous attempt, he recklessly fought and died. Kong thought to himself, since he won against the big rats, he must be similarly talented as Lee Sang. He then decided to call him an irregular, who had survived thanks to his post. He also told them that an NPC would test your results, and how he would treat you would depend on your behavior. The boy in the red vest asked Kong if he was alright. The red-armored Kong continued, no, brother, you are giving us too much information. I appreciate your help, even though we are breaking through the labyrinth together, we are in a competition now. Our boy Kong looked uninterested. The red-armored guy continued to praise himself, saying that he would surpass our boy Kong in the future. As Kong hit the guy in the forehead, he said, you are talking nonsense again, and what kind of competition is this? He added, we are all humans facing the same impending destruction of our planet. The reason I am sharing various information with you is simple, to prevent you from getting lost in strange or dangerous places. You know it too, right? There are a lot of people who died after following my strategy, Kong added. The red armored guy seemed to realize Kang's point. Kong wrapped up the conversation and walked on the second floor of the solo mode. The first floor was just the tutorial. It was said that the second floor is the true beginning of the labyrinth. With a serious look, he stood in front of a building. Goblins, carrying knives and shields, were ready to ambush him. Kong opened the door with a kick, and a system notification appeared. Goblins with a bow appeared, goblins with swords, and a goblin with a shield appeared. The goblins then charged at our boy Kong. Kong took out a bow and arrow with a smile on his face, ready to face the goblins. Kong stood ready to face the formidable goblins, armed with their weapons. As the goblins rushed at him, he swiftly retrieved an arrow, preparing to confront the group. Their limited intelligence led them to attack in numbers. Kong took aim and fired, striking a goblin squarely in the chest. The wounded goblin screeched in pain, while another managed to block the arrow with his arms, rendering him paralyzed. A third goblin, carrying a shield and a knife, charged at Kong. He skillfully blocked the attack with his own shield, leaving the goblin shocked. In a matter of seconds, Kong pinned the goblin to the ground with his shield and finished the job with his dagger. The remaining two goblins, witnessing the fall of their comrades, lunged at Kong with their long swords. Kong, however, remained calm, only noticing the shiny swords they wielded. As the goblins closed in, Kong swiftly retrieved a wooden staff from his inventory, and as fire began to accumulate within it, a deafening explosion echoed throughout the room. In the midst of the chaos, Kong admired his new sword and shield combination. Another notification appeared: rusty sword, attack power +2, it can be used somehow. Followed by, wooden shield, defense +3, it is small but can block most attacks. Kong proceeded to open a door leading to a room filled with the crimson aura. As he observed the intense aura, a red system alert appeared, announcing the discovery of the altar of Reincarnation. Kong received a permanent intelligence boost of 1 and a mana increase of 2 as a first discovery bonus. It was revealed that the labyrinth's gods had various personalities, some favoring or opposing players. Some gods even regarded players as mere plaything. Kang's attention was drawn to a giant door statue of Reincarnation, hinting at an even darker and more formidable power beyond. Another notification appeared: Altar of Reincarnation, an altar created by Reincarnation's servants, the gateway to godhood. Kong decided to accept a subquest from Reincarnation, which marked the beginning of his challenge. Reincarnation was delighted by Kang's determination. A crimson glow materialized in front of Kong, forming a warrior in full body armor. This armored figure was Reincarnation's servant, and Kong was given a system alert: Reincarnation's trial, defeat Reincarnation's servant, fake. The servant possessed overwhelming power and swiftly attacked Kong, inflicting 25 damage despite Kang's attempts to block with his shield. Realizing that a shield was futile, Kong drew his own sword and prepared to unleash a two-sword style technique. The clash of their blades resounded, and Kong managed to push the servant back. However, he realized his opponent was much stronger than anticipated. Kong decided to change tactics, creating distance between them. After a quick turn, Kong charged at the servant, delivering a series of powerful blows, totaling 6 damage twice. The next attack left Kang's sword lodged in the servant's armor, so he discarded the blade and landed a powerful punch to the gut, dealing an additional 4 damage. Drawing upon the weapon art he had learned from an old man, Kong stayed close to his opponent, preventing it from using its full strength. Reincarnation watched in amazement as Kong skillfully engaged his adversary. Kong temporarily withdrew to catch his breath, and a system alert indicated that Reincarnation had manifested his power, reducing his area of influence. In the heat of battle, Reincarnation unleashed the full potential of the armored servant, boosting his intelligence and skills. Kong was taken aback, barely managing to land a blow before the servant's power was elevated to its maximum. The system alert announced a significant development: our boy Kong had encountered Reincarnation's servant, and this time, it was no fake. The armored guy took his sword out and assumed a fighting stance, ready to face our boy Kong, unleashing a powerful crimson aura. With his stamina running out, Kong noticed that the fake label was removed from his opponent. He then took a fighting stance as well, prepared to face the fully powered armored guy. In the heat of the battle, he realized that the earlier method he used to damage wouldn't work anymore, as his opponent had gained intelligence. In the meantime, Kong barely managed to block the attack with his sword. The armored guy then attacked Kong with a vertical swing. Kong was barely holding on and kept on taking damage despite blocking his opponent's attacks. Kong was struggling, as even the movements of this thing had changed. Then, with a powerful blow, Kong was sent flying by the armored guy, who was closing in for yet another attack. Kong took 25 damage, as his back smashed against the wall, and blood started to come out of his mouth. Our boy was really struggling at this point. However, he gritted his teeth, and managed to stand back up. Kong wiped the blood from his mouth. He realized that in the labyrinth, every movement and action is evaluated. After a certain level, every capability is described as a skill. As Kong finished his train of thought, the armored guy gave a puzzled look at our boy Kong. The armored guy looked at the powerful fighting spirit emanating from Kong. Kong, with a determined look on his face, realized that in terms of words, his opponent was miles better than him, but he had another trick up his sleeve. He had summoned the wooden staff from his inventory. Kong then cast a fireball spell at the armored guy, from a very close range. However, the magic attack was nullified by the armored guy with a single slash from his sword. To his surprise, Kong had disappeared from his line of sight. As the guy looked puzzled, Kong managed to get behind him, ready to launch a full swing from behind. Finally, Kong managed to deal 6 damage to Rakarada's servant. The armored guy rushed our boy Kong with another attack. However, Kong was unfazed by it, so he activated a skill. The next attack was blocked. In quick succession, the armored guy went in for another slash, dealing 15 damage to Kong. With eyes full of determination, Kong activated his non-breathing attack. As the battle continued, Kong managed to land several attacks on his opponent, and took 11 damage himself in the exchange. As he was attacking his opponent consecutively, he acquired a skill for consecutive attacks. Kong then hit his opponent with a fireball attack on the head, dealing serious damage. Rakarada's servant had been injured with a burn. As the battle continued, Kong had remaining mana of only 5, and his stamina was at 70. Kong realized that he had reached the point of no return, so he charged head-on to attack the armored guy in a face-to-face battle. Kong jumped up with both of his swords at the back, leaving his frontal area vulnerable. Capitalizing on this weakness, the armored guy struck his swords through Kang's chest. It was a fatal blow, as Kong had taken 80 damage from this attack. The skill holding on was activated at this point, and the deadly attack was nullified. All the damage was reduced to 0 for 1 second. By creating this scenario, Kong pushed both of his swords against his opponent's neck. He did not stop and kept on applying his maximum power, going beyond plus ultra. Kong had finally managed to behead the armored guy as his helmet lay on the floor. Kong finally took a sigh of relief. The spirit of the armored guy commented, "It was a great fight, brave one. System alert, you have won against Rakarada's servant." Rakarada was satisfied, to which Kong said, "Satisfied? What a cheater." Changing the quest all of a sudden in the first place was petty. A golden aura appeared around Kong with a bunch of system notifications. You have gained an enormous amount of experience. You are moving on to the next level. You have evolved into your best form. You have single-handedly beaten a strong opponent. Your spiritual ascension has been activated. Kong then opened his status window, to see how much stronger he had gotten. Kong noticed a huge increase in stats, plus 30 in stamina and 5 in mana. It was a lot. Kong checked his status window once again. For a reward from his previous life and death battle, system alert, you have passed the ordeal of Rakarada. Rakarada desires to give you a reward. Kong noticed a crimson aura in front of him. Rakarada presents you with a reward. You have been rewarded with Rakarada's ceremonial sword. Kong could not believe his eyes. He was surprised with the sword, and the fact that he managed to receive it at the 2nd level. Since Kong had passed a hard trial, an additional reward was given. You have acquired a passive skill, Evidence of Struggle, Mastery 1%. You have proven your fighting spirit. This could be strengthened from a fight with an enemy. As Kong was standing there with Rakarada's crimson sword, he saw an orange notification pop up. Rakarada was offering him an apostle's contract.